what's up, everyone? Good evening, and welcome to again to an Orange and Blueprints edition on the Bayou City Soccer Network. We're here again, once again, still with good optimism about this get past game results. It's really good to see the team with a high performance. But it's just me as your host, Emmanuel Laverse. But always got Diego beside me. I think reacting to what the Dash has been doing so far. Diego, how you been doing, man?
I've been good. I mean, can't really complain. The Dash have been, lack of a better word of saying it, on fire. Um, After beating Gotham, they put in, yes, a draw against a tough Seattle team, but a really, really good performance that I'm excited to, break down and talk to you and somebody else about that. And I'm excited to dive deep into it. We've got a lot of excitement coming into the end game of playoffs, or the search to playoffs. So I think this is going to be a fun one to talk about.
Yeah, I think it was a really good game. It's a really good game to talk about. And then, of course, we have someone else like Diego mentioned. Like it's a deep cut, deep cut. We have actually a Dash hater. I mean a follower, Rudy Segura here with us.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction, man. How you
Nah,
guys doing? Thank you for the invite. I know that I keep saying that I love joining you guys. You guys do a fantastic job on this Orange and Blueprints, man. But I'm glad to be here with you guys.
no, before we get started, I know Monday you had a talk. I know if those who on the podcast haven't listened to, we had a exclusive talk or conversation, of course, with Pat Onstad, the president of soccer of operations, but also you had opportunity to talk with Jason Lowe, the assistant general manager to Angela Hercules. So I just want to get your full thoughts. How you thought those the any key points that people want to listen into?
Yeah, man. First of all, I did listen to you guys' last podcast episode, and you kind of gave a shout out of that event happening. We weren't sure who we were gonna get. We were trying really hard to get some of the Houston Dynamo FC personalities out there, but yeah, we got to talk to Pat Onstad, and you can check it out as well on the YouTube page and the podcast feed, as well as you mentioned, Houston, one of the newest staff members for the Dash, and Jason Lowe, which it was good conversation. I didn't realize he hadn't been here that long. He's only been here for like a couple months. And it was kind of when the international break kind of happened. So he's relatively new, but funny enough, he coached in college. He did Boston College, and so he's a Boston. I don't know if he's a Boston native now, thinking about it, but he did live in Boston for a bit. And then he did get to coach Maggie Graham. So I don't know if you guys got to listen to it yourselves, but I did give a little shout out to Diego of kind of hyping Maggie up. And so far she's lived for it. She's been scoring goals, and I mean, she's a starter nowadays, right?
Yeah, I love the hype on Diego, and kind of the little slander on another guest that we had. But I'm just messing. I'm just messing. No, we love all
No,
our
it's really funny. Rudy, we talked in our earlier episode with Theo about how I have a good friend of mine that knows Jason pretty well, and so we low-key foreshadowed that, and that's the reason why, which I thought was really funny. So it's kind of funny how the credit gets paid back in some mystical ways
Yeah,
sometimes.
no, it was good, and obviously I made sure to let it, the people that tend to maybe just listen to the Dynamo podcast, kind of so they know that there's also an Orange and Blueprints, and as well to put it in Jason's radar as well. So it looks like they're following now. So keep the good content coming. Kind words. I think they know that we are all fans, of course, of the teams that we cover, but we try to just do as much as we can on the professional level of bringing the good content in. You guys do a good job with the Dash. So yeah, hopefully in the future, especially when Diego and Manny are available, y'all can be the ones interviewing this personalities for the Dash, man.
I would absolutely love to. The only hiccup to that is not being used.
And that's what I said. Whenever you guys are able to, right? So
Yeah, I think the best time will be
keyword,
summertime.
whether it be work, because I mean, I know that you. I don't know if you guys been to that We Got Soccer. Did you go to that one, Manny?
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times. I've been there. I got a couple of jerseys there. I like the out. I think if you haven't seen there, I think of course the Tomball location is out of more of the city, but if you're in the city, the Westheimer location is a perfect ideal. Not too far from Galleria, but it's a good middle spot.
Right.
So I like the layout. Just you have on the right side the customization part, and then of course left side you have your Studente, Liga MX sign, and everyone was international soccer. And right in the middle is like Houston soccer. You in Dynamo and Dash shows. I think the how do you say the layout is perfectly.
Yeah. So it's a big shop. I know, Diego, you haven't been there, and Manny describes it very well. And obviously, the coolest part is that they did create that podcast studio, right? So it's a room, pretty much has everything you need. Um, to be honest, we brought all our mics and stuff, kind of like the setup that you and me, you and
Beautiful.
Diego and I did, right? Remember we did
Yeah,
that
Manny
that was,
picking the Astros over
Hey man,
his dash.
yeah.
it was friends and I
So
remember.
we brought everything with us, but honestly, so far
That's what I got. No, but I think the vibes of the plays was good. I think of course you had Rudy, Chris, Dustin, and Pat in the room, and so it was a really good atmosphere for everyone to be there. I think it was really good. I think if you have a chance to watch it on YouTube, I think it was the atmosphere was really good. It was a good vibes. I think it was a really good conversation to have with everyone there. I think I wish we could have Rudy to say that, but
Yeah,
he's
but
gone. I think he's gone to eat something, so maybe that's
I'm
why.
I'm gonna faithfully take your word on it. Yeah, I think this is gonna be a great episode. But to buy Rudy a little bit of time, Manny, I got a question for you.
What's up?
We Got Soccer podcast live. Who is the one person on the Dashes organization that you're saying we need to get on that show? For
I
Orange
think
and
I think Angela. I think because we only met with her only once, and that was before everything, before the whole construction, before the season. I think the only thing she mentioned that was really had my mind the whole season is that she wants to make a winning culture in the city, and then you little by little you see that pieces coming together, and I kind of want to see an update from that. So far in your 6 months, almost, yeah, so about 6 months, 7 months in your tenure, well, no, 8 months. She officially got signed in December, to work here. But I think what steps have you made, and what steps is still missing in that puzzle piece of the winning culture. I feel like, we'll talk about later, Avery talk about, they have, corrected many mistakes that they did in the season, and they feel like they're learning and they're progressing where they should be in the beginning of the season. I think I want to see, okay, from what is missing in this team, or what have been oppressed, or maybe not have been encountered to, but turned out to be a blessing for the team. I think there's so many things that because it's when she came in, the team is, it was just everywhere, but I think little by little she's putting the pieces together and it's actually working. It was like growing pains, a lot of growing pains. I think every dash season, but I think want to see her perspective. What part of the process are we in of the rebuilding, and what is left to go from here?
I like your answer, but I'm gonna go in a different direction. I'm gonna go in the direction of Jane Campbell.
Oh yeah,
because a player like Jane has seen the dash from its very depth
from she was
to
a rookie.
its peak, and so I think it would be extremely interesting to talk to her about her progression as a player, her relationship with the team. But alongside that, look at the narratives that's been going on with Jane Campbell throughout this season, having to fight for her spot back as the Dash's number one goalkeeper, falling in and out of the U.S. national team under Emma Hayes, the new manager. Seeing the veteran presence that she has on and off the field and dealing with that throughout the season. These are so many storylines, and you see this team, this Dash team. Jane's not the only person with a storyline like that we can ask. Kiki, for example, coming back from injury and then being one of the trailblazers that's causing such a great run of form for this Dash team. So many different key pieces to this team I feel like would be great additions. I think Angela, though, I think that's a great answer. But another one, bring back Jason. Bring him back.
Yeah, I think I want to see the if you want to bring back Jason, I want to bring Angela with him. I want to kind of see what their chemistry's like, to see how they are together, because obviously if you think about them, it's them two, and then of course Fabrice, and of course Jessica is president of Dash. I think those would be the main key figures. But I think we see a lot of Jessica. Jessica has done a lot. I think as her tenure, a couple of mistakes, but not too much. And so I think the finally you can see. I think before the rebuilding is always rebuilding, but you never see a clear path. And now you do. Now you see an actual clear, like, okay, this is where the Dash is going, and it's a good. If you were a fan or just someone that follows the team, you kind of okay, there's something to watch here. And I think it shows this past weekend with this matchup, against this Seattle side. The Seattle side was very, very much in the hunt for a playoff position. It was in the playoff position, but to secure a spot, I think, in this season. So let's review this match as we, continue moving on. I think Rudy, it says that his internet is down, so he says we'll try to rejoin when. So that's the Rudy curse right here. It's coming.
The Rudy curse. The Rudy curse.
But no, let's go back to this Sunday's match. I feel like it was a quick. It felt real quick. It was okay. We have a weather delay. I think I want to get your points out later on, but we had a weather delay for 20 minutes for heat. For heat conditions. So of course the match was scheduled to be on 6 o'clock, but it postponed to 6:20. So that happened, and then afterwards, the game kind of slowed into the game. Rhythm came in. Not, I think was very impressive. I was talking to Theo actually. It was one of I think the best half the Dash had in this whole season. They were very, I think before they were waiting for counterattacks, maybe from any position, waiting for the counterattack and explode. But they're really on to Seattle. And usually Seattle is the type of team that really controls the game, that really controls, everything. But I feel like they were pressuring them, not really getting them out of the box and making sure that, they were in the right position. Of course, sadly, nothing happened in the first half, as in goals wise, but yet quickly off in the literally 3 minutes after the second half, the goalkeeper from Seattle, Dickey miss time a pass and it give up to Yasmin Ryan to get that 1-0 lead in the first 3 minutes. And I feel like from that goal, I feel like okay, the Dash should take the 3 points, but they took the intensity off. I feel like the intensity dropped a bit, and that's give Seattle enough time to get a goal from Jordan Heidema that has been very hot with the Seattle, despite having, I think, if you look at the Seattle team, they were loaded with Lynn Biodolo, Mia Fisher, who didn't play in this game, and I thought it was surprising. I thought she would get some minutes against the Dash side, and yet Jordan Heidema is still the mainstay striker, and sadly, it ended up with 1-1 draw. Of course, Clarissa Larissi played her first games, only got 8 minutes on the field, but I think off the bat you see, like what Alicia Chapman said, she is fast as hell, and she was fast. And so it was a good game, but I think I want to get your overall thoughts on the result.
So, I mean, you painted a pretty good picture. I felt like yes, especially in the first half after the break, there was definitely a lot that we liked, and a lot like that we like to see from the dash. A lot of movement in the midfield, a lot of pressure on the 50-50s. And I agree exactly with your point that this was the first really defining moment where you could see the dash take the game to them, and instead of just waiting for the game to give them opportunities. Where I really disagree, and I feel like we need to put a little bit more context into the game, is I felt like saying that the second half caused of a lot of difference when it comes to the intensity. I feel like isn't telling the full story. I
Yeah.
feel like you kind of painted how strong Seattle is. Mia Fisher, Jordan Heidema.
Hmm.
These players are at the top of the NWSL for a reason. And no matter how good or bad the Dash can play, this team is still dangerous.
Yeah.
And so I would really argue the fact from watching the game that yes, were they as brilliant as the first half? No, they weren't.
Yeah.
That I feel like everybody can agree to that. But I don't think it was a fatigue issue or really a any sense of like a drop off when it comes to quality. Rather, it was just a fact that Seattle was also aching to find themselves within this game and really aching to build themselves into this game, because we've seen this throughout the season for the Dash, where their difficulty has really been getting themselves into the thick of it, into the thick of the game, into the competition where they're able to really get opportunities, take the ball, carry it forward, pinpoint passes, movements forward, all of these things that you see when the Dash are playing well. Seattle were aching to find those moments, and I
Hmm.
just felt like it was a matter of they finally cracked it. They finally cracked the formula, I guess, of success in this game. And
Yeah.
I think yes, two levels of quality for sure. And I mentioned this in the last episode that it doesn't matter if we have a mentality unless there is a performance. But I feel like this is where we need to give the Dash the benefit of the doubt, because you saw the Gotham game, you saw the BFC game. This is, by the looks of it, a competitive team, and I think a competitive team isn't going to be thinking that was really like, they were just better. We can say that because of the fact that, hey, we can look at it from a bird's eye perspective and look at the two teams and their contexts. But the Dash are probably agreeing with you, Manny. They're probably agreeing with you. Hey, we were lazy. We weren't getting the 50
Hmm.
50s. We were not at the front foot the second half. And I think that kind of mentality, that's where it's important. That's where, when the performance is there, mentality takes you over the playoff line. And I think this kind of performance, this gritty, hard fought, like expansive win or draw or result at least, that's the type of things that we need to see from the Dash. And I think, Manny, if we could find a cause or a if we could describe this match in a sentence, it would be the game was decided inside the midfield play, because
Yeah.
of pressure, because of other factors, because of movement, because of high and low blocks. This game was decided because of midfield play, in my opinion, and I feel that this is just continuing to give us good signs about the Dash, and we're narrowing closer and closer and closer to that playoff line.
Yeah, I think so. I think I agree on you on that one. I think players like Calaprico that was became like an afterthought to many, like San Diego Wave has become vital to this midfielder as well. But I think what I like most as well, players like Kiki Van Zanten, who has been a bright star here. I think makes Fabrice's job more hard to distinguish, because I think she's like coming a player that out of nowhere she has give a spark to this team where it was needed, and kind of make him doubt. Okay, a star veteran player as Lisa Boateng in the lineup, where can I put her now? Because you don't want to put her in that and bring down Kiki, who has been excellent, and of course Yasmin Ryan has been very excellent in whatever position, but I feel like she gives more gain and confidence now on the wing now. Of course, can't forget about Avery Patterson, and I think the hustle that Maggie Graham and uh, Delaney Sheehan has put in this team. So it's very a good cohesive performance from this team, and it has been really good to see. Despite many headaches in season, but they're 2 points away from the playoff zone. I think NWSL posted as well as that from the Houston Dash. Houston Dash has extended their unbeaten run to 4 games, the club's longest streak since 2023 with this draw. So if they get another winless draw, so it's gonna be a club record. So for that, so it's a good positive momentum here for this team. I think I just want to give you quick thoughts before we continue on. I think this is the second weather delay of heat. I think in the MLS it's not really that common, but at the end of the WSL has become more uh, not a polarizing thing, but more to player safety. Last week it was at KC. It was almost delayed for almost about 2 hours, I believe. I can't remember, and then here for 20 minutes. How do you feel about this precautionary? Is it needed, or do you think we just is more attention to players' care? I think safety.
No, I think I think I think that's an easy answer right there in the fact that we do need these kinds of precautions. I think players deserve and need the safety and care when it comes to extreme conditions. I mean, you take the other side of the spectrum when it comes to a rain delay, and yeah, you don't want your athletes at the highest level to be performing when there is the possibility for lightning to strike or a slip in the middle of a game that could tear an ACL or something like that. Yes, that's a worst case scenario, but these kinds of preventative measures are built in place in order to stop those things from even happening. I think this heat, especially when it comes to a city like Houston, yes, I know that we love to claim that we play better under the heat, and that Fabrice has mentioned it so many times to me that yes, one of the elements of playing in Houston is 100% the heat, and other teams have not been able to really be at their best when it comes to performing in Houston. And think about it. The Seattle game did not show Seattle at their best. The Gotham game a couple months ago, the 0-0 draw, that was Gotham at arguably their worst all season. And yes, that's partially because of the heat. And with that comes, yes, there is going to be moments in the Houston Heat where you are going to have a hard time and you are going to have to stop the game, because it can get up to 100, 105 degrees without counting humidity. I think there is absolutely nowhere where we can get these players on the field in those kinds of conditions.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good. I think it's a good measure. I think the league is putting precautionary tails. I think because overall, of course, Houston, we love the heat. We love to be on the sun. We like to take that as advantage. But also, I think there is a limit on that. You don't want to suffocate your opponent or suffocate even the players playing at home, even though they're used to it. So it's a good. I think some people that are used to the MLS side see it and are like, why is it that way? But I think it's an extra step that they're taking to take care of their players, to take care of their talent, which is a good thing because sometimes some leagues don't do that, and I think we should take that approach. They're taking care of their talent, to take care of what they're building and grow, let it grow, and have the best quality of I think the best quality of product on the field, and to showcase that in the whole world. So it's a good thing to know. But Rudy is back.
Yo, Rudy!
I jinxed it, right? I was talking about how the connection was great and all this stuff, and it died. But
Well, we're glad to have you back, Rudy.
Hopefully,
But
you guys can hear me well. I didn't even double check if my audio was good to go or not. But I was trying to catch up. I was like, let me get off this Wi-Fi and catch you guys keep talking. But
yeah,
no, I just to agree with that about obviously the precautions they're taking. Obviously, if you guys remember, for a long time they used to play like Dynamo games like at 3 p.m., 5 p.m.,
uh,
and I mean you can't do that now, right? And
That
yeah,
was horrible.
I think someone mentioned the fact that the game being at 6 p.m. in August, it's not good. You need to
yeah,
play later than that for sure. But anyways,
yeah. I think what was it? We have old soccer guys. 6 p.m. starts at fall, but 7 p.m. is better. But I think it's very hard to tell in Houston. When it gets cold, when it gets shade, but it's very very hard. But I think now we have Rudy, and now before we go continue on, the Dash are 2 points away from the playoff zone, and still they have 9 games to go. I think everyone was very like, okay, maybe not. This would not be a bad season, but maybe like okay season for the Dash. But I think seeing how the Dash is going, I know you've seen some of the games. How far can the Dash go? I think your perspective on you clocking in on this. Like, will the Dash make the playoffs?
yeah, you're talking about me.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think when the hire of Fabrice and everything that was kind of happening throughout the entire club, I felt confident. It felt like a true restart with, I would say, an actual plan. Because you guys know, for the longest, it hadn't felt that way. It felt like they were hiring guys, and then every 3 6 months they were gone, and you had an interim, and they just kept passing the team around, and same thing with the general manager, and it just seemed like an afterthought,
Yeah,
especially as you saw the rebuild that the Dynamo was having at the same time, and you kept seeing the Dash not really moving. But this season, from the get-go, I jumped on board, and I was like, I have a good feeling about this. The Dash are gonna be great, and they'll push for the playoffs. And as the season went, chugged along, I was very negative after that. I was like, this is not working. Maybe my feelings was that Fabrice was too smart for himself, if that makes sense. I feel like
yeah,
he would make a lot of tactical adjustments or subs that you were like, what? Why are we doing that? And obviously, since the international break, and they have this undefeated streak going, and we see how now he has a defined starting 11. He has defined identity that we kind of saw flashes of it throughout the,
hmm
the the early season, but results weren't happening, right? And then from them to kind of move away from some players that maybe we expected more out of, right? Maybe Ordonez was one of the big ones. Everybody was like, "Hey, Fabrice knows her." Maybe Fabrice knew her too much. That there's a lot of things that he didn't like, clearly, and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice to see that being a new coach and being a new, staff in place for the Dash, they are okay of not necessarily marrying two specific players, because some of them had just gotten, new contracts, and they still decide to move away from them, which
yeah,
it's interesting. And so to answer your question, with this undefeated streak kind of happening, I'm excited with the amount of games that are left. I think that if they continue to, obviously, who wouldn't love for them to be undefeated the rest of the season? That'd be fantastic. But this push is real, and I think if they can continue to grab, a point, 3 points every now and then, even if there's a loss in between, it's not the end of the world as long as they're
hmm
getting better. And I mean, it's really close, man. It's really close, and I think they can do it. I really believe that they can get into the playoffs, and kind of, if they get into the playoff spots, then I could definitely see them pushing, further into the playoff, not just like a first round exit, if that makes sense.
yeah. I think so too. I think Diego has shared the same sentiments. I think you were more optimistic than most of us, Diego, at the beginning of the season. I think, but now, showing the fruits of it, I think it's been much better to. I think it's more easy to buy in to that confidence. Am I right, Diego?
I 100% agree. I think this just goes back to the idea that mentality isn't substantial without performance. If you say, hey, we're going to hustle, we're going to get every 50-50, we're going to, have that kind of grind grit mentality, but then you lose every game, no one's going to buy it. No
Yeah.
one's going to buy into that mindset or that culture that you're building, because at the end of the day, you're not performing to the level that your mentality is. But
Mhm.
now we're getting to a point where the Dasher are elevating their performances to their mentality. And I felt like my perspective throughout the season was they always had the capacity to do so. They've always had really the players with chips on their shoulders. Look at Avery Patterson coming, like UNC standout, coming into the Dash, a very poor Dash, and then now with a new coach, new GM, new look, new culture, she's like, by looks of it, going to be the star of this team for the next couple of years. You look at a player like Kiki, the chip on her shoulder to come back from injury and become the player that she has been for the past 4 games. Look at a player like Maggie that has, just like many, many other college players coming into the NWSL, been discounted and kind of like been put on the bench, given her 5 straight starts into the beginning of the season and still getting substantial minutes as a rookie. And
Yeah.
you see how that's been paying off. I think we're seeing the potential for that performance to match the mentality finally been realized.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people are buying into what the Dash are offering. And, I think people forget this fact that the last time we saw the Dash in the playoffs, the stadium sold out.
Mhm.
The team was marketed perfectly. They sold, I believe it was
And it was
$5.
that hype too, right? Because it was the first time in however long,
It was
and
the first time in club
Something
history.
right, and
probably,
now
yeah.
and you see it as like they've been in existence for 10, 11 years now, and they've only made it one time. So you would hope that it would fill up once again. But I just
Exactly.
just want to add to what you're saying about the players. It's also interesting because even last year, in our conversations, maybe in our group chat, and kind of just outside of a live recording, I also mentioned the fact that Sophie Schmidt per se, like I was
Mhm.
like, dude, she's gas. Like either they need to move away from her,
Yeah,
and
I think
with Michelle Loisy, we all know that like the same thing. Like it gets to the point that we're like she's not good enough sometimes, right? She's not good enough for some specific roles that she's given as a starter. But now you see Fabrice doing that, right? Did I? Yeah.
changing our mentality, changing our perspective on
Well,
them.
and finding roles on them, right? It's like, okay, Smith, she can't play anymore as a starter, so let me find a super sub, uh, or a substitution, or her coming from the bench instead of her starting. Same thing with Michelle, right? She's not really starting. I mean, she's coming off the bench as well. And
Mhm.
so it's interesting the fact that some players, again, that maybe were a staple once for the club, they're finding themselves to in different roles and is working so far.
I
Yeah.
100% agree. I think another thing that we need to think about, I think, Rudy, I think you were the one that said this, that sometimes Fabrice was trying to be a little too smart at the beginning of the season. I felt like we're getting to a point where he's finally making those like questionable moves, but with the right tools. For example, we saw this earlier in the season where whenever he would bring in a player like Diana, like an offensively tuned player, he would often ask his offense to press higher and on a more intense level. And now we see a player like Michelle Elozier, a player that benefited throughout her entire career and in AFCON, and look at what happened in the Gotham game. These kinds of performances suit the tactics that Fabrice has been trying to implement. So it's finally turned from, oh, he's just trying to be too smart, to, oh, he's finally clicking with who he wants for these tactical changes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with that. And also the fact that we forget, and by we is mostly me in that sense, that he is a brand new coach, a brand new head coach as well.
Yeah, I think what you saw in him that actually give you confidence despite being his first year as a full head coach, is that making hard decisions, dropping Jane Campbell. I think when we first saw that, I think that was like, okay, why is he doing it? But I think when Dustin's like, well, look at her stats. She's like one of the worst goalkeepers in the league, and dropping her for Abby Smith and bringing her back in, you saw that fire again in Jane. You saw that fire, like, okay, that decision in the long run benefited her, benefited the team, and it just show a lot. Also, I think one player we forget to mention that's been having a good comeback is Alicia Chapman. I think
Mhm.
just like Sophie Schmidt. I feel like when I saw Alicia Chapman, coming back from maternity leave, I like she's not playing the same. She's not getting good minutes. It's just a lot of stuff. I think like it's time to move on. And starting from the summer restart, I think is like she has been a mainstay. If she's maybe not the youngest or the quickest, but the hustle's still there and the
Yeah.
defensive mindset. She still has it. She's on par with Paige Nielsen or Natalie Jacobs on it. She knows where to come back and to defend. And that's something that was crucial, I think, needed in this young dash side. And also, I think my last is Maggie Graham.
Yeah.
I think, like you say, was being too smart with her. There's being too smart, like, oh, she can play multiple positions. Let me put her back in left back. You're like,
Mhm.
why? But it's like, but now she's always in that same position, and you can see her maturity growing. Okay, knowing where she was her role now. I feel like before it was like a super sub, just get a goal and then you're good. But she was never growing, but now she is, and now she's maturing, and you see that a little bit more. I think you see that just by those tweaks and finalization for Breeze's game, that chemistry that he needed from the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and it is funny though too, because the starting 11, you would the you know the players that tend to place in the beginning, I would say, are very much the same, except for even like a Katie Lynn, right?
yeah,
Katie Lynn now has been on the bench,
yeah,
Chappie's the one, as you mentioned, kind of has been brought in, and Katie Lynn kind of went out, and they just kind of shifted a little bit on the formation and the
mm,
players they picked, but I
but
mean, it's worked so far.
yeah, but I won't be surprised if like Kaylin comes back and has that fire again. So I think it's right now we're seeing, I think, just the parts. We're not seeing the full picture because it's hard to, we just kind of judge right now. But if it helps with Jane, if it helps with Alicia Chapman, if it helps with Sophie Schmidt, I think maybe that time on the bench for Kaylin can help her as well. So it's really good, very optimism. I think this is what the team needed to get on this unbeaten streak and hopefully moving forward, just to get the results they need. Just 2 points. I think we got to mention was 2 points away for the playoff zone, and and right now the Dash are going into a three games on the road, back to back to back. So it's really important that they have that continue moving forward. So the Dash has 2 points from playoff. The Dynamo has 50 points away from the playoff. I'm just joking. That's what some
We don't
people.
talk about this in this podcast. That's why you joined it, man. Come on.
Yeah, I know. According to some comments, it feel like the Dynamo was 50 points away, but it's only 6 points. But nah. But I'm just messing with you. But no. So now, I think going back to the preview, going to the next game, I think it's a quick turnaround, 5 days. Uh, they're going to Racing Louisville. I think off the bat, Racing Louisville has been a greedy team. They don't play pretty. They don't play good football, but they get the results, and that's the thing that was important. I think to get to the playoffs. You just have to get results. You have to get to you have to get the 3 points somehow. And if they're really good at home, their home is like a good fortress for them. They always get a result. Diego, I think I want to see your thoughts on how the Dash get a result, but also I think most important, keep their form and unbeaten streak alive.
Yeah, I think you made a lot of great points. The Racing Louisville are the only team currently sitting above the playoff line with a negative goal differential, sitting at -4. This kind of emphasizes how gritty, tough, kind of like not really offensively focused of a team they are. They don't care about scoring goals as long as they make sure you don't score. And the moment you mess up, they will be there to clean it up. I think that's kind of the mentality for Racing Louisville. What the Dash really need to do is tighten up the midfield. That's key number one. I think strong, direct, pinpoint passes needs to be a must against a team like that because they're going to be quick and they're going to be agile in picking those passes apart. But partially, you have a lot of speed in this lineup.
Yeah.
That's going to be the number two. You need to use your speed and athleticism in order to beat a team like Louisville, which is going to be building out from the back, playing boring, playing a little bit monotone. You're going to need your Avery Pattersons. You're going to need your Ryan Garrises. You're going to need your maybe Lisa Boetins. You don't know. You need your fullbacks and your speed to really come into play in this game in order for you to get that quick counter or to get that breakthrough, because diagonal runs and runs forward to the box are going to be your best friend. And then thirdly, I would honestly say the back line needs to be structured in set pieces. You think about this Racing Louisville team and see how effective they've been when it comes to set pieces. You need to be a structured team on that, whether it be Katie Lind or whether it be Chappie, whether it be Nat or Avery or whoever it be on those fullback positions. Yes, they have a lot of offensive responsibilities, but tracking back is going to be extremely important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you got to look at their past four matches from the summer break. They faced four of the contenders that was going to be maybe NWSL championship. You know, they lost to KC, of course. I think that'll be, but they tied with Orlando Pride, tied with Washington Spirit, and got a gritty win against the San Diego Wave. So keep that in mind. So like this team knows how to get results against the top opponents. So I think the Dashers should be extremely careful and confident to rely on their plan and make sure, like you said, to get that early goal and try to find a way not to get themselves open or exposed against this Racing Louisville side. I think Rudy, I always want to see how confident for you to see the Dash can take a result or 3 points from this away matchup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the undefeated streak, it's a good one, but I think not getting all 3 points against Seattle, not necessarily makes a dent on the morale of the team, but it does start to maybe raise questions to things that maybe Diego specifically has alluded in past episodes about, is the way they're playing good enough, right? It's it
Mhm.
just score those late goals, kind of try to whether win or draw, and it's gonna be noticeable against this game being obviously an away game against a team that tries to keep things as close as they can. They basically what have they've scored 23 goals, have conceded 27, so they're right there. They try to keep games as close as they can, and they just want to look for that one goal and park the bus if they have to. And so
Yeah.
if that tells you anything, is that the Dash are also going to be very smart, or try to be very smart and not concede. Even if they have to take it all the way to the wire, like they've been doing in the 85th minute, but in reality, they do have to unleash some of those new players they brought in. Obviously, Lisa. I mean, everybody's kind of waiting for her to get in here and get some minutes bulletin. And then what we've seen from Clarissa hasn't been that much, but she could be another or she can obviously become the starting nine that you really have been looking for, which Messiah Bright has brought a little bit of that, right? That pace. And yeah, Clarissa could probably be the one to kind of help open that up. And you can tell that they don't want to play counter, right? They want to keep possession. They want to keep,
Mhm.
long spells with the ball. But heck, if you have that explosive attack, because we know, I mean, Ryan, Jasmine Ryan can do it by herself. She scored a couple goals by herself, right?
Yeah.
Um, dribbling the whole team and getting that done. But if you're able to get in behind the back line of Racing Louisville and creating a little bit of havoc, then you have a better perspective of exactly how you want to play and get those big opportunities in front of goal.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good plan. That's a good plan. It's really hard to. I think this next game is very hard to determine the lineup. How hopefully it's gonna be the same structure, but I think like you mentioned, Lisa Boyd coming in, also with uh, Clarissa Larisi, getting that mid match fitness. Maybe she should still start on the bench, or maybe start, over Messiah Bright. I think it's very hard to know what the direction of the club, because it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to have that competition. It's a good thing. If we don't know off the bat, I think the oppositions will know how the Dash will come into this game. So I feel it's going to be a very interesting game indeed. So it's going to be this Friday at 6:30 at Louisville. Just want to get your predictions, Diego, after gaining all of this information. How you think the result's going to be? Your
I don't
scoreline.
think I think the comeback kids type mentality's got to stop. I think it's great. I think it's been great, but
It's good
Rudy
to
Rudy Rudy and I talked about it. It's not sustainable. I do see a win, but again, I see a park the bus type situation. So I'm saying we're winning 1-0.
All right, you ready?
I don't hate that result, but I'm always negative when it comes to the away games. Away games are
Okay.
difficult, right?
We're
So-
better away than at home though.
I agree. That's a Houston thing, apparently. Huh?
That's a Houston thing.
As the Astros, they suck too at home, man. But no, it's to me, I just find it interesting because again, it's a very important game for sure, because the separation, if the Daesh aren't able to get points, you start moving into 6 points away, 7 points away from those top, if you want to be eighth, of course you have that opportunity, but Louisville is right there, and that separation can get really ahead of itself really fast if you're not careful.
Yeah.
So to me, I don't want to say they're going to lose, but I could definitely think they're a better team now that they're showing that they're gritty, they're not quitting. Fabrice tends to put a very good team, a very good tactical, I guess, tactical plan against every team that he's been facing as of late. And what's helped is that the players that he is entrusting are healthy, and they're actually following through with whatever the plan is, right? Because maybe, hey, we don't know. Maybe in the plan is like, hey, we got to score in the 85th minute, right? I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, we don't know. But I mean, being a little sarcastic there, but at the end of the day, I think that they can get a point. I think 1-1 is what I'm thinking and feeling for this game in Louisville.
I'm thinking the opposite. I'm thinking 2-0. I
Hey.
mean, just because, not because.
Louisville's winning?
No, Dash is winning.
Okay.
No, like the 2-0.
Oh, the Dash jersey, man.
No. The reason why I say it's the opposite, because I feel like a good sign from Seattle. They were very dominant in the first half. I feel like the performance are growing and growing and growing. You see that confidence growing, and you see how, like you mentioned, the midfielder has been more together in sync. The attacking plays, of course, of Kiki and of Yasmin Ryan has been crucial to this team. And of course, you can mention the defense efforts from Chapman and AV Patterson, up and down the flank. So I feel like that's becoming more gel and more cohesive and more. I think the point word constant. I think that's the word we were missing about the Dash. It was here and there, bits in there, the last 10 minutes or just the second half, but has become more and more constant. So I feel like this is just another step. Of course, it is a quick turnover from Sunday at home to away on Friday. But I think if anyone can do it and has shown is the Dash. And I think, you only can benefit from new additions from Larissa Boenting and Clarissa Larisi. So I think you still see it keep going. I think Yasmin Ryan gets another goal, and maybe Clarissa gets her goal,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I love.
So,
It's funny because it's what we've seen since the restart of the season is that the team is works better collectively, right?
yeah.
If you guys remember in the past, we would say, well, I mentioned Jasmine Ryan kind of scoring by herself, taking on the whole team. That was what we were seeing. We were
Mhm.
seeing individual plays. We were seeing long distance shots. We were seeing those, lucky bounces go their way when it came to, striking it from outside of the box. And now you kind of see a different perspective of the way that they're going about and scoring goals. You're seeing
Mhm.
crosses, you're seeing true assist, and so it's fun to see that. It really is, because now you see like, oh, okay, now Patterson is crossing it, and there's someone in the box that she's able to kind of see and hit,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and they can finish it. And it's not just Barbara
blindly.
Olivieri striking a ball that just kind of landed in the middle of nowhere, and it takes a peak 5 yards in front of the goal and it goes in, right? A little bit of luck there. So now they are. It just really looks like the work is finally coming together,
Mhm.
and it helps that the results are following it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think the results are worrying. The team is buying in. The confidence is there, and of course, this is without the two biggest additions of the team. So I think the only thing you can see is the team moving forward up. So you want to see that. Hopefully, I think I think it's funny because we're always talking about a statement win, statement win, statement win. I feel like this 4 games has been a statement. Uh, I think a statement issue or not. I would say a warning to other teams. Yeah, to like, hey, the dash is here to contend. Because I just watched the ESPN Football W, and they were breaking down like, okay, who could be a contender, who could be in the playoffs, and no one mentioned the dash. And I feel like I was like, maybe it's a good thing that no one has mentioned in national broadcast has mentioned the dash. But
It's a double-edged sword, though, no?
yeah,
Because it gets to the point that can other teams figure you out, right? I mean,
yeah,
because we have Diego and myself, and like, I'm sure Theo, you, Manny, you've noticed the fact that the games are very similar,
yeah,
and they're grinding it out, but there's nothing completely yet that is like, okay, the Dash is a better team every single game. It's not
yeah.
there yet, and so it's again, it kind of keeps a lot of questions for the opposition, but I think if they're able to solve the formula, then they could easily make sure to stop the Dash.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's just very. I think that the Ash finals was a really good situation and just very good on that overall. So it's very good. Hopefully this game is going to be a very good game to see how the Dash can win. But before we head off, I think just a quick note since Rudy mentioned it about Barbara Olivieri, she officially moved on from the team. She got we had the reports that she was going to Tigres. I think that was her final destination, but I think the way it went, I think it was something that we didn't see coming. So officially, the Dash moved Barbara Olivieri to Boston Legacy for 100 grand in allocation money, and of course, Barbara was loaned out to Tigres after as a result for that. And in this yesterday's game, I think it was funny because Barbara connected an assist to Diana Ordonez to get a 7-0 win.
2023 Houston Dash in the works. Woo, let's go.
Ooh. And Querétaro, which is, it just I think I want to see what Rudy and Diego's thoughts. I think just how that transaction went, and also Tigres. I think just getting a lot of old Dash players, and yet they're killing it in the league and Liga MX Femenil. Whatever. I think it's just a loaded question. It's a lot to think about. I think as this transaction went through.
I'll give you more on the disappointment that they were, if that makes sense.
I
And
think
then
okay, fair.
let me start with that. So again, it's one of those that the hype was really big on both, when Ordonez came in, when Maria Sanchez came in, obviously kind of they're all together, right? In that sense, like as a bunch. And then Olivieri, it's a story that like everybody that loves homegrowns would love for her to have been like an impact player and a staple player for 10 years with the Dash, if that could be a thing. Obviously she was finally getting time with Venezuela, getting those international competitions going. She's young, but one thing specifically on her was very noticeable was the fact that no matter what she did, Fabrice was always on her, if that makes sense, right? You would see her, or you would see Fabrice, everything, doesn't matter what it was. And it could be a good thing, right? I think he was pushing her, and that's why we saw better Olivieri this year than we have seen in the past, but it still wasn't good enough. And so that was disappointing now that she's left. But again, it goes back to the team not necessarily fully putting all their eggs in one basket just because you got a new contract or just because you're this big player like Ordonez was set up to be. And it just doesn't work out. It doesn't work out. It's not a good fit. You move away from them. But unfortunately for them, going to Liga MX, Ordonez being, obviously moving completely to that team, definitely, I mean, it has to be a step down, right? I mean, it has to kind of hurt a little. And then
Yeah.
in Barbara's case, obviously Boston is not currently playing, so that loan makes sense. Keeps her relatively close to home. I mean, Diego, you know better. Monterrey is not that far away, so
Not far.
easy fly, easy drive too. Is not too crazy. But at the end of the day, I mean, those move to me. I mean, the Dash were able to get something out of it, So
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so. You, Diego, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna channel my best Peter Drury right now. The kid from Katie kisses the badge one more time as
right,
she fades into the limelight and joins the yellow from the orange. I think Barb is a little bit of a different situation because I felt like I agree with you, Rudy. The fact that Fabrice was definitely probably very hard on her as a player and pushed her to be better. I don't think that's the reason she was transferred out, though. I feel like the reason why she transferred out is because if you think about how she plays, she's very quick, she's very dynamic. She looks to play the ball immediately forward. She looks to, knock those transition passes, look for diagonal runners, look for people in the final third. That's not how Fabrice wants to play. We've seen that, we know that, and I think we're getting to a point where we're kind of seeing that, like, okay, yes, he's willing to work with a Michelle Alozier or an Alicia Chapman or even like a Ryan Garris, which, I mean, these kinds of players have not been good enough in the past, but Fabrice has been able to kind of like revitalize them in this new system. But there are some players, especially in such a valuable area like the midfield, where he kind of just probably threw his hands up in the air and said, "We're getting a lot of offers. I can't really figure this one out, and that's okay." I felt like we could have gotten a lot more out of Barb. I felt like there possibly could have been a 200, 250. I would have liked to see that. But at that point, it's
yeah,
just looking at the nuances of it all. I felt like Diana, Maria Sanchez, all of these Dash players that underperformed with the Dash, I felt like, yeah, it's a step down for sure. The quality of Liga MX Femenil is growing. It is certainly growing, but it's not at the level or the infrastructure that the NWSL has when it comes to soccer. And it just so happens that Barb, again, it's a loan move, so I would label that one as a lateral move because you're still playing in the NWSL and you're still getting match ready and yeah, you get to try a new style of football or whatever and you get to be close to home. But I think it just, again, you've mentioned this 3 or 4 times this episode. It shows everybody needs to prove their worth. And if they
Yeah.
don't, tough.
yeah.
Jane had to prove it. Ryan had to prove it. Alicia had to prove it. Sophie had to prove it. Michelle had to prove it. All
Paige
of these
Nielsen,
players,
she was on the bench for a few, in the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah,
literally every player that you thought coming into this season that was a staple, that was a
right.
100% going to make the lineup opening day, you saw them ride the bench.
Yeah.
And this is something that I feel like we're seeing because we're turning into a winning culture. You see
Yeah.
Seattle. I like pointing at Seattle because we just played them. You see the signing of Mia Fisher. What do you think that does to Jordan Heidema? That lights a fire under her. I need to score goals now,
Yep.
or else the new player from Chelsea is going to take my spot.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is what we're seeing with the Dash, and I felt like maybe Barb at one point was like, hey, I don't play this style of football. I'm not going to really succeed on a consistent basis in this team. and that's okay. That's totally fine. I felt like Barb's legacy with the dash was far better than Maria and Deanna combined. So I feel like putting her in that conversation is a little unfair to her.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's hard. I think it's just a little mixed emotion because you see that grit, that I think the eagerness of trying to prove something on the pitch, but it just never ultimately never worked out itself. It just never she was never either consistent or just never had the end product to finish some of their chances. And so it's pretty sad. It's really I think when we first signed her, I think a lot of pictures of her, being the ball girl and being, wanting to play for the team. I think you have that sentimental value, but at the end of the day, sadly, soccer is a business. Soccer, you trying to move forward. Like they did with Darciani, just one half of a season, almost like three-fourths of the season, but the massive return we got on that. Of course, we got a massive return on Barbara Olivieri because the ultimate goal is you want the team, the player is not the team. The team has to move forward somehow, and so it's just we have to move forward. And at this point, is Barbara was the one that needed to be go, and so that was I think it was something unfulfilled that the team didn't see, and hopefully she gets that with Tigres right now, and hopefully Boston Legacy.
Boss Nation.
Yeah, we never. I'll never forget
Yeah,
that
and
campaign.
and just to finish on her was the fact that again when the season was I think it was either over or near being over last year, and she got signed, the new contract, 2-year contract.
Yeah,
It just seemed that way. It was like, hey, we're gonna build around her, right? That was and then it quickly faded, and again, it was a lot of like the work, or maybe you mentioned the money. Maybe she obviously showed a lot of grit, a lot of determination. She was feisty, but she just wasn't good enough for the role that she was supposed to be, right? A
yeah,
true number 10. And it's okay, as Diego says, sometimes it doesn't work out. And even something that Jason Lowe mentioned, right, is at the end of the day, you want to get the best players for your group. And even if a player may be talented and has some of the characteristics that you're looking for, it may just not fit the team that you're trying to build. And that's okay. So,
yeah,
but it's good that at least they're able to move away from players. Again, not necessarily going like, you know what, it's not working, but we're going to make it fit. And that's
Yeah.
when they should start rising.
That's why we got 3 years of Maria Sanchez and 3 years of Diana Ordonez, and that's what happens. And
yeah,
none of us like that outcome. So I think it's so nice that they're finally able to put their foot down and just say, "Tough."
yeah. I think so. I think so. At the end of the day, as we mentioned, it's the good of the club and see. And I think you can't criticize of what Angela has done so far in this club. I think she has done the right pieces. She does the right movements, moving players that that need to be moved, and also gaining players that's gonna help the system overall. I think one of the moves that I think I underestimated. I think because it was hard to look at on online is the loan moves of Rebecca and Zoe Matthews. I think when I first saw the news, I thought it was going to the second division of the Spain's, but it's actually the first division. They actually have their first game this Sunday against Real Madrid. So it's actually a really good. I think now my perspective changed. Okay, it's a good loan move. They will get minutes, and they've been starting their last two preseason games. So it's really good momentum for them. So I think Angela putting players, knowing they putting them in positions where they know they're gonna play and gain minutes. I think it's a good overall benefit for the team now and for the future. So I think everything is looking bright for the Dash, not only this season but also in the future. So it's really good to see that. Really good to see. I think that in the motion. So I know Diego didn't saw that coming. It was like I know I didn't see it coming. I was like second division, but no, when I saw like wait, they're facing Real Madrid. I was like wait, they're in the first division. So I was like
I have the Real Madrid flag right here. So there you
yeah.
go. You guys can see who I'm rooting for in that one.
I know. We're gonna see Zoe and Rebecca getting whooped by Real Madrid and Barcelona. I'm not gonna tune in that Barcelona game. That's gonna be a horrible game to watch, but it's good experience. Good experience. But no, thank you, Rudy, for coming over, stepping over to the dash side of
The
things and
better side of things.
a better side. The only team that's gonna have playoff games in the show.
No kidding, man. At this rate, Houston Dynamo 2 is not looking great either. So, I mean, someone needs to raise the Houston flag at this point. But
Yeah,
no, thanks again for letting me join you guys. Like I said, I always enjoy being a part of this. I apologize that my internet decided to, I don't know, call it quits as soon as I joined. Apparently,
the internet was like, "Oh, Dash podcast. Oh, we got canceled right
it
now."
was done with me. It was done with me. I had to go and call all kinds of people to get this to work. It finally did. But no, thanks again for letting me join, and hopefully in the future I'll be back. Talking
Well,
playoffs. Talking
love
playoffs.
to hear that.
Playoffs,
Come playoffs. Come on, Dash.
playoffs.
Let's see it.
I think if they get good 3 points results, I think we'll see playoffs. I think that would be I think that would be the statement win. Like the Dash has been convincing, and Dash are fighting for playoffs. I think that would be the narrative for the rest of the season. So, but it's good. Thank you for all for tuning in once again to our Bayou City Soccer podcast. We like to get also to give a mention to our sponsors. Ugly Guppy, of course, as well. We got soccer, who we did a podcast. We mentioned them, and Elotes Bravos as well too, for always supporting us on this. But if you want to keep looking out for us, please look out for biocitysoccer.net or even our handlers on your various social media platform, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Twitter, X, Blue Sky. I'm trying to think everything out off the top of my head. Hopefully TikTok, maybe, but I don't know. I don't know really what was up for TikTok, but we're almost everywhere. But please always follow us and always keep a lookout for our content on our website. We have the preview, the post game, and our comments on those as well. But always, not only us, but also on the other edition of our tomorrow will be Movimiento Naranja. So please always look out for that as well. But before we head off, Diego, Rudy, got anything to say before we close? Diego,
Nothing from me. Shout out you guys for tuning in as always. This was a great episode. We got a little bit of everything for you guys. Excited to see what happens for the rest of the season for the Dash. Manny and Rudy both share their optimisms, and you guys know me. I never shut up about my optimism. So there's plenty to be excited for. We will see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I was gonna add is someone asked about injury reports, and I'm like, yeah, they're there, man. They put it in there. Manny puts them in there in the previews, and clearly I didn't even read the last one myself, so I need to do a better job of catching up to tell people what's happening with the Dash as well, man.
Yeah, I know.
Preview. It's just the injury report they gave me, man. I forget that y'all put it in there. I
I
was
know
like,
it's
why is
well,
Michelle hurt?
hey man, Michelle just hurt, man. At this point, I don't know, man. I don't know. People just showing up in the injury list. That's like, I don't remember this player get injured last game. Oh, it was during practice. I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I was like, so it's just things happens, man. It's soccer, man. It's like football, man. American football. People get hurt in training. People like to kill themselves in training, but it is what it is. You know, they're trying to get themselves prepared for the game. So just always look out for that. Always look out for injury reports. So it's the game. It's the game. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all, and hope to see you next Wednesday at 9 o'clock again. But thank you all. If you please always follow us and continue and always hold it down.